can always jump out of this meeting and wait for it to be emailed to you, or you can leave your camera on mute and you're talking on mute, and you can email any questions if you like, or you can leave the meeting if you do not consent to being part of the recording. Okay, so this is my really quick how-to tutorial for how to be successful in Cohort D for grade 7 and 8 that I put together very, very quickly because just like the students, I am learning on the job. So I'm trying to figure out the, well, first of all, can everyone hear me? Okay. Okay, great. So I'm figuring out the website. Okay, thanks, Tammy. So I'm figuring out the website just as the students are. I got on it on Monday last week with them, just like they did. And last week, it was perfectly normal for students to feel a little crazed, a little messy as we were figuring out a brand new website. It should kind of remind you of when you were figuring out Google Classroom for the very first time. And it's going to be a little messy at first, but as we figure it out, it's going to make more and more sense. Okay, so here are the things I'm going to go over today. I'm going to talk about the highlights of communicating with me, being organized and creating a schedule, how to navigate Buzz, and who to contact if you need help on anything. So let's start with the first one, the ways to communicate with me. First thing, all students need to check their email every single day, and preferably 3 times a day. Once in the morning, so I've advised the students they should check it before or after attendance. Once when they take their lunch break or about halfway through their schoolwork. And then a third time, either at the afternoon when they're done with their schoolwork for the day, or they can check it again in the evening if they prefer. My email is also on this slide if you don't already have it, though I bet most of you have been bombarded with a lot of emails from me, so I think you all have it. Okay, the other way students will be communicating with me is through Google Meets. And the easiest way and the most organized way to get to your Google Meets are through your Google Calendar. So all of my Google Meets are Google Calendar events, and then they are the students are invited to these. So this way, the students don't have to look in their email to find the right link for different meetings. They can just look at their calendar, see the meeting right there for that day, and then they'll be able to see their link. So I've actually pulled up my calendar so I can show you all what that looks like. Okay, so this is what a Google Calendar looks like. You could do it by week or by day or by month. So you could change the settings up here, right? And this has in it all the things that I'm doing today are logged in here and all these meetings. This meeting in particular is our how-to meeting. And if you had this on your calendar, you could have clicked it, and then there's a big blue button, Join with Google Meet. And that's how you can go straight to a Google Meet link through your Google Calendar. And this way, every single time you have a meet, it's right there on your calendar, and you know you have the right link for it. Okay. I will be sending out a Google Doc that has this presentation, and it'll have all the things hyperlinked into it. So there will be in there also a little tutorial video on how to navigate Google Calendar if that's something that you're unfamiliar with as well. The third way that you should be able to, you should know that you can communicate with me is my office hours. So I have office hours Monday through Thursday, 2:40 to 3:10. So it's a half an hour at the end of the school day, of the official hours of the school day. I know we're in remote school, so we get to kind of make our own hours. But that's really only for the students that get to make their own hours. I'm still contractually bound to the school hours of the school day. So these are like my after school extra help sessions. Students can email me to schedule a meeting during this time. I'm happy to help with organization tips. I'm happy to help with academic work or checking on grades. And I can also meet with parents or guardians during this time. Of course, parents and guardians, you might not be able to meet during these times. So I can also, to work with your schedule, just email me. we can schedule a phone call or a Google Meet at a time that works for you as well. Okay, so let's talk about getting organized and creating a schedule. So I emailed out sample schedules last week, and this is the sample schedule that Dr. Joseph created for the middle school students. It's recommended students spend about 4.5 hours per day working on schoolwork, and additionally, they should have breaks scheduled in during the day. So this has already been emailed out to you, but I will email it out again with this presentation if you're unable to find it. So you can use this schedule, or you can adapt this schedule to your own personal needs. You don't have to follow this schedule. We just wanted to provide a sample schedule to help set you up for success, or to help you set up your own schedule if you didn't know where to start. So that's what this schedule is for. Now, in addition to a daily schedule, students need to make sure that they're completing enough assignments during the time period. So this is, again, just a sample of a schedule of how many assignments a student should complete each week. So in this sample schedule, this is just the 7th grade one. There's an 8th grade one as well. This first column here is the assignments that should be done by Friday, October 2nd. That was last week. And then this is this week's assignments for each class that students should complete. In order for them to be done by the end of Q1, which is Friday, November 6th for the middle school. There are different dates at the elementary school and at the high school. So if there's any parents or guardians on here who have students in different schools, you will need to check with your facilitators for those different cohorts, because they have different dates, just to make sure that you have the right schedule for the different grades. Okay, I have advised the students that they should either print or make a copy of this document. All students should know how to make a copy of a Google Doc. They can make a copy of this, and then with their own copy, they will be able to check off or highlight assignments as they complete them. And I've asked them to do this so they can stay organized for themselves, but also it's a very easy way for parents and guardians to say, hey, show me your pacing guide, show me your checklist. And parents and guardians can check in to see how much progress the student is making, how many assignments they have completed, how many assignments they have left, and if they're on schedule. So I recommend either printing this off or making a copy of the pacing guide here. And again, this was emailed out last week, but I will also be emailing it out with this recording once again. The third most important part about creating a schedule and being organized for remote school is making sure you take breaks. I mean, there's a reason we have remote school as an option right now, right? It is for our physical, our mental health, and we need to make sure that we are prioritizing that. And we're teaching our students how to prioritize that as well. So I always tell my students, your physical and mental health is most important, okay? And then comes your schoolwork. So I have advised all the kids to schedule their breaks and to always take them, because if you skip a break, then you'll notice it later on in the day. And a routine and a schedule that can be repeated over and over again is what is most likely going to lead to successful remote school. I've also told them for breaks, they need to not be sitting down, and they cannot be looking at a screen. So playing a video game or watching TV doesn't count for a break, because your eyes need a break from a computer screen or a TV screen. Preferably go to a window or go outside and look far away. And that gives your eyes a break from staring at a computer screen all day. Okay, so now let's actually get into the website for school. So as you are all aware, we're using the Florida Virtual School, or FLVS, and the app that the Florida Virtual School uses is called Buzz. So Buzz is kind of like Google Classroom, but there's a few differences. So if you hear us talk about Buzz, that's the app that the Florida Virtual School uses, where the students can access all of their coursework. So this is the homepage, and this is my homepage. So I have all the 7th and 8th grade courses here. Your students will have just their own courses, but it otherwise looks very much the same on the student homepage as well. And then when you're in these courses, I also want to show you how the courses have organized themselves. So when you open up a course, so for this particular one, I'm showing you the 7th grade math course, you can see that there are folders. And all of the classes have the same 2 folders. They have a welcome and a getting started folder. And the students are required to go through those folders. And then you start getting the folders, Then you start getting the folders that have the assignments. So module 1, and then if you open up that folder, you see all these different assignments. And they're numbered. Everything is numbered the same way in all of the classes, so it can be organized. So you'll see the very first thing is number 01.00. The next thing is also number 01.00. And the reason they have the same number is because one of them is the lesson and the other one is the assignment. So students have to complete a lesson, which includes reading, videos, seeing examples, and sometimes doing practice problems before they do the assignment that's graded. Just like if they were in an in-person classroom, they would have the teacher lesson, and then they would do the assignment on that lesson. So that's why they have the same number. So this blank piece of paper, the picture of the blank piece of paper is the assignment. And then this piece of paper that has a checklist is what it kind of looks like. I'm sorry, this is the assignment. The blank piece of paper is the lesson. The checklist picture is the assignment that goes with that lesson. So that's why 2 different things have the same number. One is the lesson and one is the assignment. And then you'll see it moves on to the next number. Students should complete the lessons and the assignments in the order of the numbers, but in this computer program, they can click on things and do things out of order, but they're not advised to do that because they might not understand what's going on if they've skipped ahead. Okay, so that's what the lessons and the assignments look like. Now, this is the student, or this is the teacher view that I'm showing you. In the student view, they will have green check marks next to the pictures if they have it completed. So that's another quick way that parents and guardians can check to see if their students if their children have actually turned in the assignments. They can say, show me the green check marks in the folder. And the computer won't lie. The computer will have a green check mark if it's done. And if your kid is telling you it's done, but there's no green check mark, then it's not done. So that's another thing to be aware of. Okay, when you're in a lesson, so now I'm actually going to show you a Buzz lesson. So now I'm in a civics lesson. In the lesson, there's also multiple pages within the lesson. So this is a civics lesson, and I could go up here and navigate to different pages within the lesson, or I could just click the over buttons. And then at the bottom screen, when I'm done, when I'm all the way on the last page, I can go to the bottom screen and click Next Activity, and it tells me that it's going to take me to the assignment that goes with this lesson. So I could click on that assignment, and it would take me to the assignment. Okay, so on this particular assignment, so the next thing I want to show you is how to submit assignments. You would have to start the assignment. And then on this particular assignment, it's all multiple choice questions on this particular one. And at the bottom, there's a button that says Submit All Answers. Now, there are some assignments that are not multiple choice, and the students might have to upload a file in order to do that. So I'm going to show you a different type of assignment right now. So in this assignment, you have to submit something, a file, and there's a spot for you to add any comments if you want to. But students should not type their answer in the comment section, because usually it's not looking for written words. It's usually asking you to have created a project. For this particular lesson, you have to create a travel brochure. So then you should be submitting either a picture of your travel brochure, or if you created a digital travel brochure, you should be uploading that file. So the students just have to upload the file to here. I don't actually have that option as the teacher to upload, but there'll be a button there for the students to be able to upload it for them as well. Okay, so that brings me to my next thing I want to talk about, and that's when students upload Google files. So a lot of students have been using Google Docs and Google Slides to create files for their assignments, which is really great because they already know how to use these Google features and they can access them with their school email. But when they create Google files, and then when they create Google files and then they submit them to a website that's not Google, in this case, Buzz, they have to make sure to change the share settings, because our school has all of our Google files automatically restricted so that only students and teachers can see them. But when they submit these Google files to Buzz, the teacher on Buzz can't see them. So the teacher's just going to see a blank assignment unless they change the share settings. So all they have to do is when they go to, the students all know how to go to share for a document. That's how they're sharing these files to begin with. But when they go to share, they're going to have to do something, and it's more than just copy the link. They're going to have to click the button down here that says change link to Leicester Public Schools. Because right now it will be restricted to only people who've been added to the link. But if they change it to Leicester Public Schools, then I will be able to open up their assignment within Buzz. If they don't change it, then I will not be able to open up their assignment within Buzz. It'll just be a blank assignment. And I can go and email them and ask them to change the settings, but I don't want to have to do that for every single assignment with every single student every time. So it'd be preferable if the students could change the share settings before they submit an assignment. Okay, so that gets to one of the questions I just saw on here. So Tammy is asking about grading. So the answer to that question is that I will be grading the assignments that the students submit when they upload files, or if they have to type in their answers in their own words. So that is something that the Leicester teachers are going to be doing. But whenever it's a multiple choice assignment, Buzz will grade it automatically, like the computer grades it itself. So that's something new, a little bit different than what we're saying how we thought it was going to work. But that's just one of those things that as we're learning the website, we're figuring out how to work it. And that's one of the things that we figured out. Thanks, Tammy. So I also saw a question from Adam that I missed earlier. Sorry, Adam. And it was about the welcome tab. So Adam, now is a great time for me to pause and go back to the welcome tab if you'd like to ask that question.
Hi. So the question I had was more of an information thing. My daughter in the beginning went through the welcome tab to do some of her work, and it didn't get listed. It didn't get documented that she finished the work. Where in the welcome tab, there's a lessons folder, well, a lessons tab.
Yeah.
And she went and did a bunch of the assignments and lessons through that tab and didn't realize that wasn't the right way to do it.
Okay.
So Do you know what I'm saying? Have you gone through
Yes,
that
I know
lesson
exactly what you're saying. Yes, I know exactly what you're saying. A couple of the, I don't know why, but when the courses were automatically already sent over to us, a few of them had, you're right, all of the lessons in the welcome folder.
Yeah,
But
they're
they didn't
still
have
there
the
too.
assignments. It was just the lesson. So if she went through them, she
Okay.
would have been going through and learning all the lessons.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that other people understood that and their kid,
Yeah.
their son or daughter didn't accidentally do a bunch of work and not get credit for it.
Yeah, and it's that's something that since then I noticed that, and I thought, oh, that's probably going to confuse a bunch of students, and so I went and I actually hid those folders so that students wouldn't do that. But that wasn't something that I knew about right away. So I apologize for not being able to proactively
No, it's fine. That's
deal
fine.
with that
All right,
first.
great.
But she will now have already a head start when she does the lessons.
Yeah, she went
attached
back and
to the
redirected.
assignments.
Yeah.
She'll be reviewing what she's already
Right.
looked
Correct.
at. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. So again, if you have any other questions, put them in the chat box so we can all do it. If you have the question, I'm sure other people have the same question. Okay, so I want to show you a little bit of what looking at grades is like. So from the teacher side of things, it's mostly the same as the student side of things, but a little bit different. And I'm not gonna, pull up my Buzz and actually show you on my Buzz because then we'd see everyone's grades. So instead, I've just taken a sample screenshot of a sample grade book. So this is what a student's gradebook could look like. And I've added in arrows to some of the things I think are highlights. So there are blue progress bars up in the top left. And there's 2 progress bars because as Adam and I were just talking about, there's a lot of lessons and things that aren't the assignments that the students have to complete in order to learn the material. And so 1 progress bar is for all the activities a student has to complete. That includes videos, readings, sample questions. And then there's another progress bar just for the assignments that are graded. So that's why there's 2 different progress bars, and you can, and both of them give you some good information about how much work the student has done. Over here, I wanted to point out that all of the main courses, the core 4, so that's science, math, ELA, and history, all of those courses start the unit or the module with a pretest. And the pretest is just a test of questions to see what the student might already know about the topic that they're going to learn about. The student hasn't been taught the topic yet. So they're kind of supposed to get a bad grade. And that's okay. So I just want to emphasize this because I don't want students or parents to stress out about a bad grade in the pretest, because the pretest grade shows up in this grade book here, but it doesn't actually count in the final grade up at the top. You only get 1 participation point for turning in the pretest. But it's still really important for students to complete the pretest because they're going to take the pretest again at the end of the unit. And then you can see in their comparative scores how much they've learned in the class. So once again, the pretest doesn't count in the grade, but you will see a grade in the grade book. Okay, so then you can see the grades for the individual assignments right here. And you might see an assignment that doesn't have a grade, but it has this black paper, this file image. That is an assignment that has been submitted by the student, but hasn't been graded by the teacher yet. So we're waiting on a grade for that assignment. If you see an assignment that doesn't have a grade and does not have a check mark or a picture, that's an assignment the student has not submitted yet. And as you can see, there's also dates for when the student submitted assignments. And if they want to see how they did on that particular assignment, they could actually click on the assignment and it will then go to each question in that assignment to show them how they did. So that's what I'm going to show you next. But I do want to point out that this is also where you get to the activity page, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. But first I want to show you, if you were to click on the assignment, then it could go to the actual assignment and show you which questions you got wrong and which questions you got right. And if you got a question wrong, it'll show you what the correct answer was. So that way you can work backwards to try to figure out why you got it wrong and learn the material. Students can see this also. They see this screen as soon as they submit a multiple choice computer graded assignment. But this is another way to get to look at it again later on, is by clicking on the assignment in the gradebook. And that can go there. And the reason I want students and parents to know how to go back and look on that is so that students can learn from their mistakes. Because students do have the opportunity to redo assignments if the assignments are computer graded. And so if you're going to redo an assignment, it makes sense for you to go in and study what you got wrong on the assignment in the first try. So that way you can learn from your mistakes and do better in the second try. Okay, so now I want to talk about this activity log up here. So if you're in the grade book, you'll see a link to the activity log. And your activity log will look something like this. And it will have the date and the total amount of time that the student spent on this class on that date. So if you're not exactly sure if you're spending enough time on schoolwork, you can go to the activity log. Or parents and guardians, you can double check how much time your kids are spending on certain assignments or on certain classes on certain days. It'll tell you what time they logged in and how long they were logged in for. So on the left side, it says what assignment or lesson they were on. And on the right side, what time they logged on and how long they were on that page. Now, if the student opens that page and they opened it accidentally, or they're opening that page just so they can click to the next page, it still logs it. So you'll have logs of things where it'll say 2 seconds, or the one underneath it there is 28 seconds. And if you go through an activity log, you'll see there's actually a lot of submissions that just say 10 seconds, 9 seconds, 15 seconds. That may mean that a student rushed through it, or it may mean that they were just opening that page in order to get to another page, or opening that page accidentally. And so that may also be why they may only be on that page for a few seconds. Now, it is important to note, this is for parents and guardians, it is important to note that this activity log only tells you if they were logged in and they had the page open. It doesn't actually tell you if they were actively engaged, or if they were reading it, or if they were watching the videos. So take this page with a grain of salt in either direction. It is one tool that the Buzz app lets us see, but it isn't the only means of us checking on student progress. The other thing it has is up at the top, it'll tell you the total amount of time they've spent in that class since they started the class. Okay. Okay, so I see Damien's question in the chat box, so I'm going to answer that now. So if you start an assignment and then you take a break and then you come back to that assignment, it doesn't reset it. It's just going to show it again. So for example, you can see that on this sample one. This student was logged into lesson 2.01, and they logged in at 9:59, and they spent 2 minutes and 49 seconds. And then they must have logged out of that page or went to a different page in a different class, and then they logged back in at 10:02, and they spent 5 minutes and 37 seconds. So it's not so much that it resets your time, it's that it logs all the times. So if you want to see how much time you spent or your child spent on an assignment, you might have to look for every single time that lesson shows up and add up all the times. Because if you just looked at 2.01 and saw they were on there for less than 3 minutes, you might think, oh no, they rushed through it. But they have 2.01 listed again, and that's for 5 minutes and 37 seconds. So I would add those together to see, oh, this student actually spent more than 8 minutes on this. So you have to add them up and search for all the times. If anyone has another question about that or that didn't clarify the question, please let me know in the chat box. Okay, so now that you know how to see how much time students are actually spending logged into class, I want to show you how to see how much time students should spend logged into class for each lesson. So each class has a checklist at the beginning of a unit. And this checklist will list all of the assignments, how many points they're worth, and how much time it takes the average student to complete it. So this is a screenshot of what that page looks like. I'll show you in my Buzz account what that page looks like. So if I go back, here's the civics class homepage. And it's always in the first introduction assignment or lesson. And on here, I'm going to have to go to another page to find it. Sometimes it's on the first page. Sometimes you have to go to the second or third page. And here it is. Here's the civics one. So this is how you get to this page. Again, when you're at the home page for the class, you just open the unit folder. And then it's in the introduction lesson. Sometimes it's also called a checklist lesson. It'll say introduction and checklist. And then you might have to find what page it's on in there. But every class has one of these, not just the core 4. STEM and art also have these. So for example, on this one, it says that students should spend 120 minutes, or in other words, 2 hours completing this lesson. And when we looked at the sample of the activity log, we saw that the student who did this lesson had spent a little over 8 minutes. So you could see there's a big difference. Or I guess that was a different assignment they were on, but still, you can see all of these say it should take them 2 hours or more for each lesson. So if a student is only spending 10, 15, 20 minutes going through a lesson and an assignment, either they work a lot faster than the average student, or more likely, they're probably rushing through the work. And how do you tell the difference? You look in their grade book and you see what their grades are. So if their grades are low, I would ask them to log in and show me their activity log. And I would look to see how much time they spent on the assignments. And I might also pull this up to see, well, how much time was it supposed to take them? And then we would have a conversation about how do we have better time management. And those are conversations that I'm having with the students in our weekly meetings also. And I definitely recognize, and I hope parents and guardians also recognize, that time management is a hard skill to learn. And it's a skill that our students, our 7th and 8th graders, are really learning and really fine-tuning for the first time for a lot of them. So it's okay to make mistakes, and that's what I keep telling my students. It's okay to accidentally rush through because you didn't know that you should have taken more time. But once I've shown you, and once you know that you're rushing, then it's not okay to keep doing it. So it's okay to make mistakes, but we're supposed to learn from them and do better. So that is how you can find out how much an assignment is supposed to take, how much time it's supposed to take. Okay. We're almost done. So the last thing I really want to show you, and then I'll take any other questions, is this list of people who are here to support you and here to support the students and the parents. There's a whole team behind this remote school, and everybody here is on the same team with the kids, and we want to make sure everyone is successful and has the tools that they need. So here's a list of all the different people that you might need to contact depending on what the topic is. And I will be hyperlinking this into the Google Doc that I send out as well, so that you have this information. But I do want to highlight the things that I'm in charge of that students and parents might want to come to me for would be basically any questions about how Buzz works, anything to do with attendance, your grades, your assignments, or if you need help with organization or pacing. That means the speed that you're going in. And then the other one I want to highlight is the one at the bottom. And that is if the actual website for Buzz is not working, then only Buzz can help you with that. And so there's a phone number to call. And I've had to call them myself a couple of different times when I was just learning the website. They're very helpful. They're very friendly. I think the longest I was ever put on hold was for 30 seconds. So I highly recommend contacting the FLVS call center if you have any questions about the website, or you think the website isn't working, or a link isn't working, or it's not letting you upload your file. Those would be things that have to do with the website that I would call the call center for as well. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have for you. So I'm gonna check the chat box for questions. Okay, so the different types of assignments and how the grades are weighted is one of the questions. I would go back and look at this checklist that's at the beginning of every unit, because right here it has all the different lessons, projects, different assignments, and how many points they're worth. So you can see how they're weighted differently. So for example, lesson 1.03 is only worth 42 points. I believe that's because that's one of the multiple choice assignments, versus lesson 1.02 is worth 100 points. That one is a project where a student has to create a travel brochure and then upload their travel brochure, or a picture of their travel brochure. So since that assignment requires a lot more skill, student decisions, and creativity, that assignment is worth a lot more. And then you can see at the bottom, the unit exam is worth 93 points. So the exams actually counts for about as much as some of the different projects in there. Okay, so another question I see in the chat box is asking about the different classes and if the grading is getting done for all of them. So the answer is yes. So I'm grading all the assignments for all of the classes that are student created assignments. So not multiple choice, but student created writing or created projects, or art in the case of the art class. So those will be graded by me, and the art and STEM is graded, as well as the core 4. And those classes have these weight guides as well. So coding and art have these things where it has the points possible. So you can see the weight of the different assignments in coding and in art as well. How many students do I have? In the 7th grade and 8th grade together, it's about 43 students total. And then each of those students has 6 courses that they're taking. Okay. any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer because if somebody has a question, they're typing in. I know sometimes it takes a while to get your thoughts typed up. So I'm going to stick around. Feel free to stick around if you have any questions or concerns for me. But this is the end of my presentation. I will be emailing out this presentation with hyperlinks to all the support documents to try to help you out as well. And please, please, please email me if you would like me to go over anything again, or if you have any questions about anything. But thank you so much for your time. I know this was a lot of information, and I'm happy to repeat it again as needed. So thank you, and have a great day. Okay, so I see a question in the chat box. For those of you who want to stick around, feel free to log out if you're done. But a question in the chat box about providing feedback. So when I showed how a student could go in and see what questions they got right and what questions they got wrong, they can do that on all the assignments, and it will have teacher feedback. If there's a comment for me to leave, I'll leave it in the comment box, and that will show up there. So in the presentation, that is kind of like on this page where they would go into the actual assignment to see it. But these are all multiple choice. If it wasn't multiple choice, there'd be a little comment box and it'll say teacher comments. Okay. Okay, thanks, Jared, for putting that in there again. And thank you, Adam. I will suggest it. I know we're all trying to figure it out together. And we're all kind of on different schedules for figuring it out. So, okay. Thank you so much for coming in.